You're walking through the grocery store aisle, trying to remember what you came in for. You quietly mutter milk, eggs, what was the third thing? Then you pause, respond to yourself, and suddenly realize you're having a conversation, alone. But are you really? Talking to ourselves might seem quirky, or even embarrassing in public. But it turns out, it's incredibly common, deeply human, and more important than we often realize. Whether we're silently narrating our day or blurting out frustrations after dropping something on the floor, our inner voice is constantly at work. In today's video, we're exploring the fascinating science and psychology behind why we talk to ourselves. From its origins in childhood development to how it helps us regulate emotions, make decisions, and even survive under stress, self-talk is a powerful, misunderstood tool. So why do we do it? And what does it reveal about the way we think? Where does self-talk begin? The habit of talking to ourselves doesn't come out of nowhere, it begins in childhood. Psychologist Lev Vygotsky, a pioneer in developmental psychology, observed that children often talk to themselves out loud while playing or solving problems. He called this private speech. And while it may sound silly, like a child babbling to their toys, Vygotsky believed it was a crucial step in developing internal thought. Children, he noted, first learn language by talking with others. Over time, that dialogue becomes internalized, turning into what adults experience as inner speech. In fact, many of our thoughts, decisions, and emotional reactions are still structured like conversations with ourselves. So, when you talk to yourself, you're really engaging in a process that began long before you could even form complete sentences. The many faces of self-talk. Self-talk comes in many forms, some helpful, some harmful. But broadly, it tends to fall into two categories. Inner speech silent in your head. External self-talk spoken aloud. And across those, it can play different roles depending on the situation. Instructional self-talk. Athletes often use this to stay focused, keep your eye on the ball. Studies show that instructional self-talk enhances physical performance and task execution. It narrows attention and reduces error. Motivational self-talk. Think, you've got this, or one more rep. It boosts confidence, resilience, and helps fight off fatigue, mentally and physically. Reflective self-talk. This is the inner narrative we all have. Why did I say that? Or should I have taken that job? It helps us make sense of the past, assess our choices, and prepare for the future. Emotional self-talk. These are the reactive statements. This is so unfair, or I can't deal with this right now. While they might sound dramatic, emotional self-talk helps us release frustration and regulate our emotional state. But self-talk isn't always helpful. Negative self-talk, persistent inner criticism or catastrophizing, can spiral into anxiety, self-doubt, and depression if left unchecked. Self-talk in the brain. So what's happening neurologically when we talk to ourselves? Neuroimaging studies show that self-talk activates areas in the brain associated with language, memory, and self-awareness, particularly the prefrontal cortex. This region is responsible for planning, decision-making, and emotional regulation. When we talk to ourselves, we're essentially using language to manage and organize thought. It's like we're playing both roles in a dialogue, speaker and listener. This duality helps us step outside ourselves and approach problems from a more logical or compassionate perspective. Interestingly, self-talk has been shown to enhance working memory, especially when we verbalize instructions. For example, repeating a list or a set of directions out loud can help us retain the information more effectively. The survival mechanism you didn't know you had. In high stress or dangerous situations, people often report talking to themselves out loud. Why? Because self-talk can serve as a coping mechanism. It grounds us in reality, provides a sense of control, and reduces panic. Military training, for example, often encourages verbal self-instruction. Pilots, first responders, and astronauts use it to maintain clarity under extreme pressure. There's even evidence that self-distanced self-talk, referring to yourself in the third person, can reduce anxiety and increase objectivity. So instead of saying, "I'm nervous," you might say, You've done this before. You can handle it. This subtle shift changes how we perceive the situation, as if coaching ourselves from the outside. Cultural and social perceptions. Of course, talking to yourself in public still carries a stigma. It's often associated with being eccentric, unstable, or even unwell. But these assumptions are largely cultural. In some Eastern cultures, internal silence is valued, and talking aloud to oneself might be viewed as undisciplined. In Western contexts, it's more tolerated, especially in creative or technical environments where problem-solving out loud is part of the process. Still, the boundary between healthy internal dialogue and pathological thought patterns is worth noting. Hearing voices, auditory hallucinations, or engaging in highly negative, obsessive self-talk may indicate conditions such as schizophrenia or severe depression. If self-talk causes distress or interferes with daily functioning, professional help is recommended. But for the vast majority, self-talk is completely normal and incredibly useful. Can we train ourselves to talk better? Yes, and we should. Our internal dialogue has profound effects on our mental health, performance, and relationships. Here are a few ways to improve it. Notice your inner voice. Awareness is the first step. What are you telling yourself on a daily basis? Name the negativity. Label patterns like catastrophizing, black and white thinking, or self-blame. Reframe the narrative. Instead of "I always mess up," try "I'm still learning." Use second or third person language. It creates distance and boosts emotional control. Practice gratitude and affirmation. I'm grateful for how far I've come. Or I handled that better than I thought I would. With time and intention, self-talk becomes not just a tool for surviving, but thriving. Final thoughts. We all talk to ourselves, whether we admit it or not. And far from being strange, it's one of the most powerful ways we regulate, motivate, and understand ourselves. Our inner voice is a bridge between thought and action, between past mistakes and future goals. It can hold us back or push us forward. But when we learn to listen, shape, and refine that voice, we gain access to one of the most direct pathways to self-awareness and personal growth. So the next time you find yourself talking out loud, don't be embarrassed. You're just thinking out loud, and that's a very human thing to do. We often think of the voice in our head as something private, even insignificant. But that constant stream of thoughts, questions, and commentary? It shapes the way we live. Whether you're giving yourself a pep talk before a big moment, muttering through your grocery list, or replaying a tough conversation in your mind, self-talk isn't just noise. It's navigation. It's how we steer through uncertainty, regulate our emotions, and make sense of who we are. And maybe, just maybe, that voice isn't something to quiet down, but something to get to know better. Thanks for watching. If you found this video thought-provoking, consider subscribing for more explorations into the psychology, history, and quirks of everyday life. And if you've ever had a full-blown conversation with yourself, you're in good company. Until next time, take care of your thoughts. They're listening.